Hey ladies, today I wanted to talk about dating as a single mom and some of the main lessons or takeaways that I took away from dating as a single mom. I have dated as a single mom. I have two children and I am 30 years old and my kids are 13 and 7. My son is soon to be 8. So I just wanted to share some advice, some genuine advice from a fellow single mom who has dated. I'm in a relationship right now, but I know what it's like to go out into the dating world when you have children. So my first piece of advice, and I'm sure you know this, but I want to still talk about it because it is the most important thing and it needs to be said, is that your kids come first above all else, and never choose a man over your children. I'm not saying that you are going to do this, but I have seen other single mothers do this. So I really want to just state that I can understand why certain women do that. It's because they want to feel loved, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with needing to feel loved and fulfilled in that way. But you just can't do that at the expense of your children. So I'm sure you know this, but I wanted just to state it just to make sure. Your kids' safety and well-being and happiness comes first, and those needs must be met before your needs for romantic love. So that's my first piece of advice, is you're a mom above all else, and it is one of the most important roles that you could ever have in your life, and it is an honor, actually. So see it that way and really cherish it, and cherish the fact that you are blessed with children. You get to guide and nurture and see grow. It's beautiful. It is really one of the most beautiful experiences that you could ever experience in your life, and don't ever forget how blessed you truly are. All right, so now that we have that point covered, let's move on to the next point, which is, I have talked to actually men about this and asked them advice about their experiences dating single mothers and what they would advise. And the number one thing I heard is that when you are getting to know a guy and dating him, that kind of overwhelming him with the fact that you have kids and talking about your kids and my kids, my kids, my kids is actually kind of a turnoff for men. And I'm not saying that's necessarily right or it's okay. I'm just telling you the truth, is that when you talk about your children excessively to guys that you're trying to date and get to know, it's a turnoff for them. And they're going to want to run the other way. Most men are not, when they're first getting to know you and they're just casually dating, they're not looking to take on the role of a possible stepfather or the responsibility of that. And it's usually something that they automatically kind of want to avoid, actually, because it's a big deal to raise someone else's children, and it's not something that men take lightly, or women for that matter. You know, if I was to date a guy with children, I would not take that lightly, because again, you're still going to be in that child's life if you end up being serious with them. So when you're first getting to know someone, just make it about you and him. Get to know one another first. Obviously, like, I'm not saying lie about the fact that you have kids. Be honest. Obviously, if they ask about your children, then you can go ahead and respond, but just focus on getting to know each other and seeing if you guys are compatible or not, and if you get along, and if there is chemistry between you guys first, because it's a relationship between you and that person first and foremost, right? My next piece of advice, and this is kind of like what I've seen from other women, is don't go dating or don't date with the intention that you're going to find a new baby daddy or find a new father figure role for your children. You're gonna have the wrong energy when you go out and date with that mission in mind, or you're gonna find someone that's not really right for you, and you're just gonna think that they're gonna be a good father figure role for your children, but maybe they're not going to make you happy, and they're not compatible with you, and they're not going to fulfill your needs. So if you go into dating with that kind of an attitude, I personally think that's going to backfire. And like I said, people are very good at unconsciously sensing your deepest intentions, your deepest motivations, and your energy. So that kind of an energy of, I want to find another father figure for my children. And again, there is nothing actually wrong with wanting that. You just want what's best for your children. So that is your maternal instinct kicking in, wanting your children to be raised in the best possible way that you can raise them. And ideally, you would like a female figure, a mother, and a male figure, a father figure, to raise your child. And if you're a single mom, you just naturally want to balance it out. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But if that is your main intention when you go to date, guys are going to sense that. They're going to sense that. And just put yourself in a guy's position. If you were a mother, okay, and a guy was on a mission to find a mother figure for his kids, and that's why he was wanting to date you or had any interest in you, would you feel like you're loved for you or for what you could do for that person? Do you see what I'm saying? It's not a pure intention. When people fall in love and decide to spend their life together, that kind of motivation and underlying intention shouldn't be there. Should just simply be that you two love each other just the way that you are, and you accept one another just the way that you are. And the fact that you both have kids or one of you has children is irrelevant. That should actually be irrelevant. Not like irrelevant in the sense that like don't care about your kids and they don't matter, but the main thing is that you fell in love with this person and it happened naturally and you're both compatible and there's chemistry and the relationship between you and that person is strong in its own right, regardless of the children. And my next piece of advice is don't expect him to take on the role of father to your children immediately after introducing your children. That is scary to a guy. It's overwhelming. And I don't think that anybody should be obligated to be a step parent. If they already have a mother or a father, they already have a mother or a father, or even if they don't. Just because you get into a relationship with someone doesn't mean that that person is obligated to be a step parent. Yes, they still have to be in your children's life. Yes, they still have to respect that and respect your children, but it doesn't mean that they're going to take on the role of parent. Okay, usually that naturally just happens on its own, but if you're trying to force it and demand that, again, that's not coming from pure intentions. And you don't want that. You want it to just happen naturally. So kind of like an ideal way of going about it is when you first meet someone, it's you and that person. Focus on just you and that person. Don't overwhelm him with all this information about your children. Yes, you love your children. Yes, you are proud that you are a mother, but don't overwhelm. I don't really bring my kids up unless asked. Another big rule of thumb is I do not introduce my children to men I'm not serious about. So if I'm just casually hooking up with them or just getting to know them, my children never meet them. They know nothing about them. You don't want to confuse your children. It's already confusing enough that you and the father of your child broke up if they saw you guys together. It's just, you don't want to create that confusion, especially when they're children and young. So I'm very, very guarded about who I introduce to my children, especially when it comes to males in my life. You want to protect your children. You want to make sure that that you trust this person, that they're not going to harm your children. And it takes a while to really get to know someone. I didn't introduce my children to people that I was serious about until almost a year after I had met them. So like I said, it's very, very serious. I always made sure that I had babysitters to watch my children so that I could leave the house. Or if they came over, the children were in bed. They never ever saw men. And my last piece of advice is do not feel bad that you are a single mom. I don't feel like there is something wrong with you. You decided to have children and bring them into this world, and you were blessed with them, and you are strong and independent and strong enough to raise healthy, happy children on your own if need be. Know this, believe this. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. When the right guy is meant to be in your life, he will show up and he will be absolutely perfect for you and your children. But don't ever compromise yourself or your children just to be with someone. You're better than that. Okay, guys, I hope that this helps you, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.